Tiqun Leil Shabuot. What is it? It's the reading, the all-night reading of Shabuot. And what is it? It's Torah, Nibim, Ketubim, followed by the Iddir Rabbah, which is the Zohar. And this is what was done in our communities for centuries. It was done by all of our rabbis here in the community. It was followed by Chief Rabbi Jacob S. Kassin, Alav Shalom, then by his son, Hacham Shaul Kassin, by his son-in-law, Hacham Baruch ben Hayim, in Ahayezer bar Rabbi Masatin, in Ahava Hava by Hacham Halfon Savdeya. All the rabbis of the community, this is what they did. As well as in Purat Yosef in Yerushalayim, this was done by Hacham Ezra Atiyah and by all his students, Hacham Ovadia Yosef, Hacham Ezra Shayo, Hacham David Shalush, Hacham Haim David Halevi, Hacham Sion Levi. All the Hachamim did the same thing. Nobody deviated and said, no, I'm going to learn Gemara tonight. I'm going to learn something else tonight. No. Everybody adhered to what was printed in the book Kirei Mu'ayed. Kirei Mu'ayed, here's an example of one printed in 1870. They had the order of the reading of the night, which was Torah, Nebim, Ketubim, the beginning of each parasha, followed by the beginning and end of each of the books of the Nevi'im and Ketubim. It would also include sections pertaining to Hag Shabuot, like the Aseh Berot in Parashiyot Yitro and Veit Hanan, as well as all of Megillah Ruth. Then you would go into the Iddir Rabbah, which is a great gathering of the secrets of the Torah. You would spend about 2.5 hours reading from Torah, Nebim, and Ketubim from the Tanakh, and another 2.5 hours reading from Zohar, and that would be your entire night. If there was still time afterwards, there were those individuals who would set aside time to read through all Tariag Mizvot, all 613 Mizvot, based upon the counting of the Rambam, of Maimonides. Even though we're going to read during the daytime the Azharot, which includes all the Mizvot, that order does not follow the order of Harambam, and therefore there were those that would make sure to read it on the night of Shabuot, but only if there was time at the end. In fact, in the old books of Kirei Mu'ayed, the counting of the Mizvot is not even there. It only appears in the newer books that are published in our modern day and age. Now, after the reading of the Torah, Nevi'im, and Ketubim, and after the reading of the Iddir Rabbah, there's no time for any classes. So if somebody tells you, oh, what class did you have tonight? Or who were you learning with? You weren't. This was the learning. Reading was considered learning, and that was the way it was. In fact, when you tell somebody today, oh, we have Arayat, people think of, oh, we're going to read Tehillim for somebody. But the reading of the all night of Shabuot was also called the Arayat, and it was the Arayat of the all night reading. That was the reading, and the reading was the studying. It was a reading to connect you with the words of Torah Shebichtab, as well as Torah Sheba'al Peh, connect us to a tradition of our fathers and forefathers, going all the way back to the beginning of time, to creation. Now, besides this reading, and nothing else was done, as we said, this is what all the Hachamim did, we moved from that realm into nowadays people asking about classes. Study the Torah throughout the year, and the night of Shabuot is a review of all your Torah learning. Moving on from there, you finish the night, you're tired, should you pray early or not pray early? And there was no tradition of praying prior to sunrise. At dawn, the prayers would begin so they could get to the Amidah at sunrise. And we have this tradition. We know it. We witnessed it as children. And even though there were those who wanted to make earlier minyanim, and some of them did succeed, the established custom was to pray at Vatikin. And we know in Argentina, for example, Chamis Haq Shehebar, who was from Halab, would not allow any minyanim prior to sunrise on Shabuot morning in the Halabi and Shami communities of Argentina. What about here in Brooklyn? Yes, it was the same thing. In fact, our very own Rosh Beit Din, the head of our Beit Din of the community, from before World War I until about 1937, when he made Aliyah to Israel, Hacham Hayim Tawil, in his book Masah Hayim, where he records the sermons that he gave here in Brooklyn to the community, says in his sermon to Shabbat Kala, which is the Shabbat prior to Hag Shabuot, that do not mess up your entire night of studying Torah by trying to rush the prayers early before the appointed time. Make sure you adhere to the tradition of praying with sunrise. So this was documented. It was done here in the community. Growing up, that's what we saw. And this is what it is. This is what the night is. Torah, Nevi'im, Ketubim, Iddir Rabbah. If there's time, go into the Mizvot. And from the Mizvot, you begin the prayers not before dawn. And at dawn, you begin the prayers. You have the Amidah at sunrise approximately. And then you continue with the holiday after that. The school, the Sharim Rabot, Ne'imot V'Tovot.